It's one of the hottest topics on campus right now. The squad is rolling, the only remaining unbeaten team in the UMAC. And we've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time, welcoming in the offensive coordinator of Northwestern Eagles football, Boomer Roepke. David, this is a big deal. We've been looking forward to this.
I haven't slept since we started this podcast about 2 months ago because I've just been waiting for the man, the myth, the legend, Boomer Roepke. His real name is... I just can't. I'm not going to tell everyone your real name. It is Boomer Roepke, the offense coordinator. He's in the house. Boom, how we doing, man?
I'm awesome, man. I'm grateful and excited. There's a lot of juice and energy in this room, so I'm fired up.
Well,
now.
A lot of it brought to us by you, for sure. You definitely light up a room when you come in. You get it popping, which I'm sure your team and coaches appreciate. Man, how have you adjusted? We've had a pretty good fall weather-wise, but you are a West Coast guy. You went to USC. You played football there, Southern California guy. How have you adjusted to like the cold football Saturday afternoon so far?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty blessed this fall.
It's been nice.
Awesome.
It's been nice. Awesome. Last year, I think back to that Crown where the snow was flying.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even react to that?
We bundling up, and Friday morning practice we're out 6 a.m. And I remember last year, a couple of times we're in the 20s and in the teens Friday morning. You got the full beanie, down jacket. I've got leggings underneath my sweats on, full gloves. It's a transition. It's funny. My sister Lucy lives in Santa Barbara, and you get past football season, and I mean the month of February, in the teens, single digits the whole month. And she's posting pictures of hanging out on the beach. And it's like, man, I'm in a Volkswagen camper where the heater doesn't work and I'm wearing 2 jackets driving to work. But it's been fun. I mean, man, you get the full football season atmosphere and the colors changing, and we're grateful. This campus is pretty special.
Man, Boomer, the state of Minnesota does sell houses too. That you could live in, but you got that camper life going in February, so we like that too. Beautiful weather this last Saturday, and man, your offense played well. You guys defeated Minnesota Morris. It was a battle of the 2 unbeaten teams. Was there a little bit extra juice kind of going into that game? Just knowing, I mean, these guys are smart, and I've learned this as a coach too. You kind of try to shelter your guys, like you don't want them to look in too much of this, too much of that, but they're doing it. I mean, they're looking up the standings. They know who the other undefeated team is. Was there a little extra juice preparing for that game?
Most definitely, and I think the battle is, like you said, how do we focus on us? And, really trying to emphasize throughout the week of practice, all we can control is today. So how can we win the day today at practice? And was really fired up that each day the guys showed up with just awesome intent in practice and executed well. And it carried over to Saturday. And, it was interesting preparing for these guys. And, the first series of the game, they showed a different defense than we game planned for. And it was so awesome seeing how the guys responded to that and how we were able to get to some of our base plays that we knew would work against them. But you talk about a group up front and how physical they played. I mean, going back and watching film, a couple times and just seeing these guys had something that they were playing for, and it was really special to see. It was a great team effort, team win for sure.
What were your overall thoughts on how you guys moved the ball and put up points on Saturday?
So first and foremost, having a freshman quarterback with the cast on, being able to operate the offense and lead those guys, I thought has been so awesome. The guys up front, man, worked really hard. Jeremiah Staten and Seaverd, freshman with Jeremiah Staten, man, won UMAC, honors this week as being Offensive Player of the Week. And it's just shown so much how these guys have just tried to take each week and get better with that. And but it's been fun. I think that we all have growing pains and super encouraged by that because it means that we get to get better. There's things that we get to do better at, which is something that we're really focusing on this week. We got a big game coming up this week. But yeah, fired up about those guys and that they, for 4 quarters, gave it everything they could.
Coach, 188 through the air on Saturday, 144 on the ground. Take us into your mind as a play caller when you're looking into the game. You obviously understand you have to stay balanced. You may think, you know what, we got a lot of great matchups on the outside. We like Bo's matchup. We like Mike's matchup, Damon's matchup, but you got to run the football as well. When you come into a game and then as the game progresses, is there something you're constantly reminding yourself saying, you know what, we got to run the ball more now to keep the defense off balance? What is that process like in your head during a game? Because we hear so often in football, okay, you got the first, you can jump in here to, 12, 15 plays are scripted, if you will. But like you said, you can get that wrench. You see a different film out there on Saturday than you saw on film. But then from there, I'm always fascinated watching football. How does it change after the first drive or two? Because then it's like, now it's adjustment time. How do you adjust during the game?
Totally. It's a great question. And being a second-year play caller, that's been something that I'm just super excited to get better at. And I think the biggest thing, and at least in this season, is, man, get back to things that work. And a handful of things. First off, if we're talking schematics, seeing how defenses line up formationally. Okay, you call one play in a certain formation on a drive. How do they line up to it? Okay, well, we throughout leverage, right, and isolating receivers and numbers in the box for being able to run the football, how do they align to that? Well, they started bringing more defenders into the box because we were being successful in the run game, which then opened up a lot of great pass game, things like Damon and 2-minute drill and Bo, on the long pass. And so finding plays that work against them and then adding fluff, so to speak, to it. So add emotion into it to get to that formation again. Go in different cadences, pre-snap to kind of get the guys on the defense not to jump and to kind of hesitate towards that. But the big situations, third down situations are big. And seeing that, man, the guys executed confidently, and that was really fun to see. So I hope that answers your question.
That was not an easy question. I just kept rambling along. So that was a great answer, though. Appreciate that.
Boomer, you mentioned you're a play caller, so you're up in the booth. What is your kind of demeanor in the booth? Are you celebrating a lot, like big plays? Are you jumping up and down? Are you slamming? We saw the NFL video a few weeks ago. A offensive coordinator kind of went viral when the camera caught him just basically smashing up the booth, which, as the game manager for football, please don't smash it up. I'll have to clean it up.
You do a great job of that. I appreciate you.
What's your demeanor in that press box, man?
For sure, man. On big plays, I get fired up. Like, I get excited, man. I get excited. And, ultimately, the biggest fulfillment for me is seeing these guys work so hard and seeing them be successful on the field. When you see a play that everyone works on multiple times in the week, and you see them executed on game day for a big gain, like, that fires me up because everyone is fully invested into that play and has put everything they can into that play. So when it's big plays like that, like, I get fired up. I get fired up when you see guys that are physical and that just really have an intent to establish the line of scrimmage. In between series, then it's talking with the offensive coaches. What do you guys see on the field? What are the players seeing on the field, and then communicating that through the headset? And I've got a notebook upstairs along with my call sheet, but I go through 4 or 5 pages of writing notes. Next series, hey, this is what they're doing now, so what are some things that we can capitalize on for the next series? And then, man, that 4th and 1 at the end of the game when Jeffrey Markovich made that tackle, I jumped on the back of Coach Miller's back, and I gave him a hug. I was so fired up. That's so fun, being able to celebrate those wins, and as a team, being able to do that and cheering for the guys. But there's a lot of tension for sure. There's especially key situations, the 3rd and long when we decided to pass it on 3rd and long, and we're confident in the play, and it just wasn't executed. And so it's defense time to stop them, and they did. So stuff like that. I wasn't standing up for the last 5 minutes of the game. I was a call sheet in hand, like, all right, what do we do? What do we do? So.
For sure. Well, you just mentioned that at the end of the game. So I want to ask you that because as a coach, we all know this, and you're a play caller, a big part of it is the strategies, the play calling, all those types of things. But another big part of it is the situational side of the game. Once the game starts, that game plan kind of goes out the window sometimes, especially when you get in the last couple minutes of the game. And we've all been watching, whether it's NFL, college football, at the end of the game, a team has a 1-score lead and they've got the football. And it feels like everyone always knows what the right answer is after what happens. If they play it conservative, it's, why weren't we more aggressive? Why don't we try to throw for the first down? If they try to throw it and it doesn't work out, it's like, we should have run the ball, run the clock out. What is the fine line that you have to find as a play caller when you have that 1-score lead where you want to be aggressive and you want to just dagger the team, but you also want to be conservative and run that clock out? How do you manage that in real time? You don't have time to sit there and think about it. You got to figure it out right away. How do you manage that? What's the fine line?
For sure. That's a great question, DP. And I think the ability to be able to have a timeout, to be able to talk through it with the group, talk through it with Caden on the headset, with the other coaches, what is the feeling right now on the field? Caden, if we were to run this, are you confident in doing this? Yes or no? Questions like, it's 3rd and 8. We were kind of talking about this earlier, but, we went 1st and 2nd down. We went to the 2 runs that were most successful for us in the game, and they brought an extra guy into the tackle box to stop the run, and they did a great job with that. So the biggest thing initially was they had 1 timeout left. We need to eat the clock up. Now, for me, I wanted to get a first down. Us as a group collectively, communication is huge. And so collectively, and Coach Moore being the head coach, what do we all think? What's best for the team? Where are we emotionally down on the field right now? And so we called a play that thought would work to get the first down. And like you said, hindsight, there was a different pass play that, I keep thinking about that I should have called in that situation, because I knew it was open based off the leverage of the corner there. But real time, man, preparation throughout the week is going to give me the most confidence during that. So going through all of the last 2 minutes of every tight game that they have, what types of defenses do they come out in, and preparing for that. Okay, we got 2 minutes left in the game. We're up by 7 points. We should expect them to come out in this defense. So a lot of preparation, a lot of communication with the coaches and Caden and the guys out on the field, and clock management is huge. So a lot, but man, when you're on the line, and your emotions are high and everyone's tense, it's like, man, what do we do? What do we do? It's like, what's your favorite 3rd and 8 call that's going to get a first down or, run the clock? So the other thing too is, do we bring in another tight end and run the ball out of 12 personnel, 1 running back and 2 tight ends. And so that was another thing I think back to, and something that we're going to focus on this week is getting another tight end with how awesome, excited our run game is doing.
You mentioned Caden there a few times. We're going to get to him in a moment in your whole quarterback room, but obviously the job has to be a little easier for those guys when you have so many key guys at the skill positions. We've already mentioned Damon Clapper, Bo Burke, Mike Bostrom, Bryson James, Jeremiah State, and we could go down the line. How are each of those guys different in how you like to use them in the office? What makes each of them tick differently? And then for you as a play caller, how do you look at all those names going into a game and saying, how do I feed each of them, make them each valuable in this offense, but understand, like we talked about earlier, sometimes in the game you're going to figure out, wow, Bo has another great matchup again. They don't have a safety over the top here. We're going to take a shot here. We're going to keep going to the guy who's hot. We think about the Augsburg game. Sometimes it's one guy's night. So how do you balance that and make sure everyone's fed, if you will? That's
a great question. Super grateful for the guys on our team. Very grateful for the collective group in recruiting where we've been able to do that. And it's fun. Going down the line, talk about Damon Clapper, a guy that came in as a receiver, as a quarterback, moved to linebacker. We're fortunate to have him as a tight end. And you think about his ability. There was a 3rd and 8 that, we threw a quick pass to him and he made 5 guys miss. He's electric in that sense. Ultimately, it's how do we find in key situations, how do we get him the ball in different ways? Love doing motions and shifts to be able to make communication imperative for the defense, who has who and all of that. Damon is fun. He's also a threat in the backfield. I remember last year against Martin Luther, handed the ball off to him as well. You know, Bo Burke is special. I mean, he's quick. Same with Damon in terms of hands. I mean, you throw him the ball and he makes one-handed catches. But Bo's special. I mean, in space, he makes guys miss, and he's got elite speed, and he's great with his hands getting off coverage. We had a couple plays on Saturday where we isolated him in a 3-by-1 concept, and they saw that, and so they put a safety and a corner on him, which opened up Damon on a deep cross route in the 2-minute drill. So it's fun being able to utilize him. A lot of quick passes, get him the ball. Bryson's fun, one-on-one, man. He gets up for the ball. I mean, he's special, man. And being a freshman, and super grateful for him and his growth. But I mean, we breakaway, this retreat that we do summer and right before camp, and I mean, the dudes we're playing, pickup basketball, and I mean, he's jumping over dudes on the team, dunking the ball, and so it's like, how do we get him one-on-one, matchup, whether it's a third and long, throw a back shoulder, or red zone. We saw that there was a corner that we were targeting, so we were able to put the formation to where he was one-on-one with that corner and throw it up to him. And Bostrom, the kid's he works his butt off. He's a physical kid. He's a great blocker. He has improved so much in his ability, and he is a great leader for those guys. I mean, it's a fun group, and we've got some receivers that are younger guys that are competing and that are showing great improvement. And Jeremiah State, I mean, watching his improvement in the run game and his patience. There's so much to do with the patience of a running back in the backfield. And, and Seaver, a freshman, and he's shown some excellent improvement already. And, it's fun. Super grateful to have been able to be at Iowa State when Breece Hall, it was with the Jets just, towards MCL, ACL. And, but just being able to see what that looks like, what that work ethic looks like, what that elite ability looks like, and being able to now apply it here. And Coach Johnson, our running backs coach, is, man, fully invested with those guys. So it's fun. It's fun. And Caden's, he's been a blast to coach and work with. And Nick, really quick, like, I think about Nick Drinkin, and, he gets injured the second game. Yeah. He was out in a wheelchair at practice every day, like cheering on the quarterbacks and helping. And Colin Courier, that was, quarterback to safety for a little bit, back to quarterback, and his ability and leadership, it's been really fun.
That's awesome. You just touched on it, and we wanted to kind of head in that direction. 3 different starting quarterbacks this season, and they've all helped you win games. They've all contributed. They've all played really well, but they're different types of guys for sure. How does that create challenges for you when you've had 3 different starting quarterbacks this season? The season's not that long. I mean, you have 10 games total. You've had 3 different starting quarterbacks, all with different skill sets, all who I'm guessing probably learn things and process information differently. How do you as a coach adjust and kind of learn how to coach those guys as individuals instead of just saying, hey, I coach this quarterback this way, so I'm going to coach them all that way? Because we all know that doesn't work.
For sure. Man, great questions. It's fun.
Dude, no guest has ever helped my ego.
No, I love it, man.
Every time there's a question, it's all a great question. We might have to have Boom around all the time.
I would be for it, yeah.
Well, it's an honor. It's an honor. First off, man, this quarterback group is special in their character.